Bing, bang, boom. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan. And this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics. So, happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I don't know if you're looking forward or not to the winter, but I'm not. I'm not looking forward to it, man. You know, here in the States, or here in Pennsylvania, I should say, on the East Coast, like Northeast, a lot of people talk about moving to Florida. But when the discussion comes up, or like anywhere tropical, anywhere that's like consistently nice, but when the discussion comes up, you know, there's always that one talking point, which is, oh, I like the seasons. And I don't know if I could deal with it being, you know, in some cases it's like, 90 degrees and just like blistering hot in Florida all the time. You know, fall comes around here in the Northeast or wherever you are, you know, if you've got actual seasons. And, it's kind of good. You know, you have like pumpkin patches, you have like fucking, cider and pumpkin coffee and different kind of flavor fall lattes. And like the whole deal about fall is actually pretty cool. Fall is fine. Actually, don't even mind fall. It's winter that is absolutely brutal. And here in Pittsburgh, there are brutal winters. I couldn't imagine like up north, like, I don't know, like some states like Maine, perhaps, or New Hampshire. They probably have really brutal winters. Obviously, the Dakotas, Minnesota, kind of that side of the country, they've got some brutal winters, I could imagine. But yeah, I mean, here it's just like, it sucks. It's going to be cold relatively quickly. It's already cold. At nighttime, it's been cold. Yesterday was 80, and then at night it was like, 60 something. So morning, everybody that's saying what's up. Hope you're doing great. Morning, G Nudie Newts. How's your testosterone replacement therapy going? Hope that's going great. Morning, Mark. Hope you're doing great, man. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Hope you got some plans or not, man. Maybe you're going to vegetate. If you need a good movie to watch, it's, Kandahar with Gerard Butler. You can YouTube purchase the movie for like $4.99 or something. It's actually pretty dope. East Coast sucks. Yes. The winter is just, I mean, everything else is actually pretty good. I shouldn't complain because we had a pretty great spring, summer. Honestly, it was amazing. It was nice most of the time, which is kind of unusual for Pittsburgh. And so it's one of those things. MA, I assume that's Massachusetts, bro. So you're right up in there in that cold shit. Brutal. Ed Cork, however, see, Ed's down there like, yep, I'm in Florida. It's nice down here, bro. Yeah, it's a nice day today here, but it's just you can tell it's going to be getting crappy really quickly. Like I'm already like, today I'm like, okay, I got to get joggers for, like sweatpants for the gym instead of wearing shorts because it's just going to be super cold. So as we get some more people in here, let's talk about the Cortex stack. So yeah, this thing officially launched yesterday. It's ready to ship, permanently now. There's no more pre-order. Those of you that pre-ordered the stack, thank you so much. We got just about 300 orders in, the amount of like 2 days, which was amazing. And that was kind of the cutoff, like after 300, we're going to stop. And so all those started shipping out yesterday. The remainder of them will ship out Monday. But now, you can actually go purchase Cortex. It's now like live and hear the full product. So price points for one bottle, $45.99. This is a 60 capsule bottle. So you've got an entire 30 days, unlike the last version of Cortex, which was just basically 15 days if you took it 15 days in a row, which we didn't really suggest. However, if you want to get it cheaper, you can still get it for like a reasonable price point or cheaper at $34.99. You subscribe to it, you get it shipped every 30 days. Okay. This is meant to take daily. So I built a stack that you can take every day if you absolutely need to or want to. I mean, maybe not take a nootropic like on the weekend when you're like at the park with your kids. I mean, or do whatever. Either way, there's a lot of energy kind of background component to the Cortex stack. It's predominantly a focus and flow stack. So if you really need to get into something that you're procrastinating on, or if you just need high level focus, that's essentially what the stack is for. But at the same time, you couldn't make a nootropic stack and not have it have like very powerful mental energy stimulant kind of pick me up property. So it's both focus and flow and also a very, very powerful stimulant, like really, really awesome. So you guys can get Cortex, livecortex.com in the description below. It's already shipping. So, no delays or anything. The stack is honestly awesome. And here's, a live view of the bottle. Okay. Live view of that subtle off black coloring. It even has a brain on it. Those of you who hopefully got the Patrick Bateman reference, man, in that video that I did. Yeah, it's sick. It's just very, very beautiful and awesome. I'm proud of the stack. The stack works. I gave it to a friend yesterday, after the beta testing and all that, and she's just like, wow, you guys, I give her all my stuff. She loves it. So anyway, let's get to questions. If we have them, if you guys got questions, post them. We'll start the discussion while we keep Ed's comment on the screen and we admire the fact that he's in Florida and it's nice. I mean, it's going to be nice until I don't know, November, December. I was in Florida just last year, Orlando area in February, and there was a couple nice days. So it's just bizarre state. Nudie news. So far, TRT is not going so great. I feel like my nervous system is in overdrive. I've been a little too emotional. Mostly going to start injecting more frequently. So that may help because it's either an overage of androgens or it's either the estradiol is too high. I don't know if you're running labs yet, but I would encourage you to run labs for sure, because if you let the estradiol get out of control and you're not used to it, that's going to happen. Secondarily, you may just kind of bottom out or adjust to how, the load of androgens that you're not used to is taking its positive toll or toll nonetheless on your body. And so you may be fine just leaving it alone and seeing how things fare. But yeah, I mean, nervous system in overdrive may be an indication of too high of a dose. If you don't mind sharing your dose, I can try to critique and give you some tips on how to, change that. At the same time, you're going to want to get estradiol tested no matter what, right? Because if that's way out of range at 50, 60 plus or something, then you're going to have some of those symptoms. TRT should absolutely be a good experience. However, it is a dance for some people, right? To get the protocol dialed in. If you're if you're injecting less frequently, a lot of guys just really don't have a good time injecting less frequently. Some do, some twice a week is absolutely fine. Once a week even, is fine. But for other people, your case might be you keep the dose the same, you keep everything the same, and you inject every day, because there will be no super physiological peaks on any marker, testosterone total, and subsequent conversion to estradiol and then conversion to DHT, which would probably balance out some of these effects. Just to give you an example, if I injected every day, which I did for a stint and then ran labs to see where it would all go, at 210 milligrams a week is what I was dosing at that time. Everyday injection, subcutaneous insulin pen, my estradiol went to 37. That's not bad. And I wasn't taking AI at that time. 37 is not particularly ideal for me, but that's not terrible. Whereas when I was injecting twice a week, every fourth day of a lower dose, actually somewhere around 180, the estradiol would shoot up to 50 something. Obviously I had to take an AI at that point, to clear that up. Roy Gordon, view on peptides, ipamorelin, CJC, kisspeptin, BPC. So I'll talk about the ones that I know about. Kisspeptin, I found marginally effective for guys that aren't on TRT, that want to increase testosterone marginally. Kisspeptin is one of the peptides you make in, the hypothalamus or something to this effect that ultimately fosters gonadotropin releasing hormone, or gonadotropins down to the testicles. So interesting chemical. I've not seen it be... It hasn't been effective enough just in my very limited view of it with a couple clients and a couple people that have talked to me about it, where I'm like, whoa, everybody should take that. People should take that, or that'd be a natural route for testosterone, if you're not on TRT. BPC 157 is a wonder peptide. I recovered a shoulder injury. It was this shoulder many, many years back by injecting subcutaneously on site. I even injected in my delt. The injury healed way quicker than usual, because now I have injuries in the gym and they'll last 3 weeks or something, and I got to deload or not do certain movements or whatever. I just don't have any BPC 157. I probably should order some. It even has a brain on it. As far as the rest of these peptides, ipamorelin, I have a client that was taking it some time ago, seemed to make him very anxious. I don't know a whole lot about it otherwise. Roy Gordon saying started 6 weeks ago and feel 10 years younger. I imagine you're talking about, TRT. And totally. Yeah. When I got on testosterone, it was a night and day difference in terms of energy sustenance. My energy was pretty good as it stood, but gym energy really wasn't there. I'd been working out for 6 months every day prior to getting on TRT. So I'd built a physique enough, but TRT completely fucking changed how quickly I recover and how many days of the week I could go to the gym, which is 7 now. Every day I wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock, right to the gym with all the other people that are there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, which is kind of awesome to have that. After a while, you get to know everybody's name. You're like, yo, what's up? See you tomorrow. Fucking love that you're here, kind of shit. So, this is a good example of if the protocol is, dialed in for you and you get on TRT, you feel good. Nudie Newts on the topic of TRT, going to get blood work done soon. Yeah, it could be an estrogen issue. Slow comp TG mutation, probably not related. Yeah, well, I guess as it relates to estradiol. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dietary things that you can do. Predominantly eating real whole food that will help you metabolize estradiol out quicker. Obviously, you could eat, cruciferous vegetables, which will help you convert some of the estradiol to some of the other estrogens and then clear them out of the system. Diindyl methane is a chemical that will help you do that. However, in prostate tissue, it is an androgen receptor antagonist. So it's unclear whether that's an androgen receptor antagonist elsewhere. So I don't really love DIM all that much. But yeah, estradiol being too high will certainly cause a lot of problems if you're not used to it. It may balance out. And again, if you switch to every day or every other day injections, I can guarantee it'll be a different experience and a better one. Nudie Newts is running 80 milligrams twice a week. Yeah. So if you're I mean, so 160 and 2 times a week. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my estradiol would be shooting up to 55, 60, maybe even a little bit more if I was running that protocol. So I got to go every other day. Unfortunately, I'd rather do it once every month. Just one bolus, like, what is that, 800 milligrams or whatever that is. I'd love to do that. Body can't handle it, man. Abel or Abel is saying, do you still take D-ribose for Nootropic? Yes, I don't take it frequently as I was when I did that video, but it's very powerful, man. I mean, it kind of makes me eat more. I don't know the mechanism for that or, quite understand what the hell's going on there. There's maybe some blood sugar thing. But yeah, it's general fatigue when it may come in. Like as an example, last night I was on like I don't know if you can call it a date. This chick that I'm seeing, we went out to, this island in Pittsburgh and kind of hung out and talked shit and made out and all that shit. And, like the day before I had a really long day and then I didn't sleep the night before. And so I was somewhat fatigued. I had a mild headache and, so had I been taking D-ribose in those times, like I probably would be a lot more energized, whereas I kind of felt like a little meh yesterday. So that's my take on ribose. I think last time I ran ribose was about a week ago and I'm running like 4 grams at a time. Yeah. I mean, it's underrated stuff. Very, very powerful energy compound. Jeffrey is saying, just out of curiosity, which online census vendor still sell racetams? Nootropic Source is the company to get racetams from. If you guys are interested in that, I want to make it clear for YouTube, we're not like, suggesting people do that, or I'm just talking about, a source that, that I have purchased product from. Typically, for me, it's like, depending on what I feel like I will want to be taking and what I like taking, I have vendors from China that I found on Alibaba that sell, kilos of racetams. And like a kilogram of aniracetam, as an example, off the top of my head, I don't really remember, maybe like $400 or $500, maybe slightly more depending on the vendor. But then you've got, aniracetam forever. And as long as you store it correctly, it'll last a very long time. Like I have, still, sealed bags of nootropic powder that I use and, sometimes, use for clients and stuff. So other than that, Nootropic Source is where you would want to go. But, it depends. Like some companies like, what is that company name? Not Lift Mode. There's a company that sells 9-methyl-beta-carboline, 9-MeBC, the dopamine, kind of enhancing / restoring compound. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's like a very green website. God, what is it? I haven't purchased from them in a while. It's Chemio, Chemyo, Chemio. And they've got some stuff too. It looks also like science.bio is somewhat back and they have some things. So may want to check them out. Roy Gordon is saying, have you had experience with clomiphene to boost testosterone? Yes, I did take regular Clomid and I wasn't controlling estradiol, so I had a pretty bad experience. The test went super high and, the estradiol did too. And, I just felt very overstimulated and not good. I also think that, it's like the notion of blocking estrogen receptors in order to produce testosterone. Okay, you're tricking the hypothalamus, pituitary, got it. However, it's like, where else is it blocking estrogen receptors? That's why clomid analogs give people like vision problems eventually, and or other side effects. I mean, you got like estrogen receptors in your retina perhaps, and that's why that's happening. So yeah, it's I wouldn't recommend it unless, it's like you're PCTing off of an androgen, an anabolic or something, or you're wanting to get off TRT and go from there. I think there's better ways to raise testosterone where you can actually control estrogen in all its facets when you're natural. And one of them would be HCG, injectable HCG. That's over kisspeptin and gonadorelin, and every other kind of LH mimicker, I would go with HCG for sure. Swisher is asking, after taking 0.5 milligrams cabergoline once, how long would you wait until you can start taking 9-ABC? So that's a good question, because the dopamine agonism that you're, executing with cabergoline, you're looking at a 60 to 70 hour half-life, but that depends on how, you're individually metabolizing that chemical. It may be longer than that. I don't see it going past 80 hours for half of the drug to be out of the serum, and then unclear how long it's actually active at the, D2 receptors in the pituitary, but it also has like some other effects too. Like it's got a 5-HT1A serotonin receptor agonism. So it's like, you probably don't want to agonize any serotonin receptors while it's still in the mix. I would wait a good 7 days. Yeah. I think at 7 days after taking 0.5 of cabergoline, you should be fine to take another dopaminergic. You may be fine taking it, in conjunction or at least in somewhat close proximity to the cabergoline. I just wouldn't do that myself out of safety. You just never know. I mean, cabergoline is a very, very strong drug. I have taken it before, but mainly I've worked with people who were required to take it for prolactin issues. Thunder Pump, let's go. Hope you're doing good, bro. If you guys got any other questions, post them. I will get to them. Hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. My weekend has been pretty chill. Well, I guess it's only Saturday. Yesterday, I went out with this chick to like this island in Pittsburgh. Really cool chick. Actually, super fucking smart chick. And, had some fun and chatted. And today, I don't really know. I have another friend I may go out with later. Who knows? I'm trying to line up dinner later. But if not, it might just be like a movie and chill day. House is clean, so I don't really have, much else to do. And I've been working working pretty hard the last week, so I may just need to take a break. Brandon Jones, Clomid and clomiphene are not the exact same. No, they're not. Clomiphene doesn't have the eye issues anymore, right? They separated like the zooclomiphene out of it or something. It's like one of the primary chemicals. I've been on it 6 weeks, no negative sides. I take 25 milligrams every other day. Yeah, that's a reasonable dose. Yeah, I'm not saying everybody's going to get sides from Clomid. I just did, and a lot of people do. But either way, regardless, if you're still blocking the estrogen receptors, not just in the pituitary, right? And so it's just not something, that I love. Because again, if you just dosed HCG, you're trying to raise testosterone and you're a natural, if you just dosed HCG, yes, that's going to upregulate some aromatase expression in the testicles. And yes, you'll make some more estradiol, but you can control that with an AI or diet or whatever, right? I mean, there's, you can take selenium to control estrogen to an extent. Mild aromatase inhibitor, PD5 inhibitors like tadalafil have like some, inhibition of the gene expression. If you have high DHT, you have inhibition of the gene expression for estradiol post receptor binding. So, there's other ways to go about it. Obviously, some other anabolics, literature is very scant on this, but they act as AIs, like Proviron. Yeah, definitely going to have some anti-estrogen effects with that, and some other anabolics as well. Got game with the ladies. I hope so. I think I'm just very normal with girls, man. Just like fucking, I know what they want to. I know how they are. I know how to, respect their boundaries kind of thing, like sexually and other things. Like, you just got to know. I mean, you can't be one of those dudes that's like, doesn't know, like can't read signs with women, because it's all over them. Chinese vendors that are tested. No, I think I just, took a chance. All of the vendors that I've gotten kilogram products from China had God, what's it called? It's like the sheet that basically looks at all the metal testing and stuff. So, and the purity, and it's always 99.8, 99.9. So it's good quality stuff. You want to look at those sheets. It's like a material data sheet, something to this effect, so that you can make sure that you're not getting first of all, that you're getting the actual chemical that you're purchasing. And that secondly, you're not getting something that you, that is not, the actual chemical in question. Donald Pump says we need more real men during these times. I agree, dude. I don't know what it's, I don't know what it's been, man. I don't know how, guys are afraid to be guys these days, I mean, I know why. It's just you're getting fucking riffed on everywhere. But, people, I can tell you there are plenty of people, women included, obviously, that still appreciate, a traditional guy just being, a man. And don't be apprehensive to be a man, just be it unapologetically. And, that's it. And be who you are. If you run into a woman who doesn't like a masculine guy, or a guy who, is assertive enough to go, okay, my idea is better, we're going to do this, and that idea is a bad idea. Love you still, but, this, when take charge in certain situations, then find other women, because there's plenty of them out there that respect that. It's you got to understand what your place is. Am I going to raise a child and breastfeed him or her? No, that's a woman's job. She's better at that than me. Are there things that guys are just way better cut out to do than women, whether it's cognitively, psychologically, dealing with crazy shit, or physically? Absolutely. That's why we're not the same. Donald Pump prefers his women not to have implants. Same, brother. We need them. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that video. So I'm doing more videos, on my new channel, my other channel, Ryan Michael Ballo. There is a video up. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Whoa. Can you go there? Yeah, it's this one here, where I did a video about Modern Warfare 2 and how sucky it is.
Everyone gets a kill. Modern Warfare 2 is woke as fuck. I can't even move, and now I fucking broke my scuff. People at Infinity Ward choked this up. Nothing but 4-year-old losers posted up. The game rewards camping, sound whore antics, shitty movement. I might as well play ground war managed.
Anyway, yeah, that's a music video that I did for my other channel, Ryan Michael Bell. You guys can go subscribe there. It's a relatively new channel. I was talking about business and entrepreneurship on the channel at some point, but now I'm just gonna make music videos. I love, freestyling and writing songs. I wrote this whole song and the probiotic song in, under a day, filmed, edited, recorded, published in under a day. I just like doing it. All right. So other questions. Eddie V, saw the old videos on Phenibut. How often do you take it? Not anymore at all. I really took Phenibut, the first time that I was okay, I'd been experimenting with it for a brief period. I want to say maybe a month at that point. And this is 2016 or something, dude. And, I'd gotten to the point where taking it, I was in a stressful time in my life, and taking Phenibut in very low doses, I'm 300-400 milligrams. It gave me the, the feeling oh, now I can relax, and I remember what relaxing feels like. I remember what not having a 100-mile-per-hour brain feels like, and that's kind of therapeutic sometimes. That's what Phenibut was good for me back then. However, again, consistent use, you start deranging GABAergic receptivity, and your brain becomes somewhat used to, this extra GABA B modulation and binding, to the point where you get off and you don't feel like yourself for a little bit, for a while. And if you the more you do that, that scales, right? So if you're dosing Phenibut consistently, you get off of the stuff for a couple of days and you feel like shit. Not good, man. Donald Pump, you got a good product for probiotics. I've been using one on and off on Amazon. I don't know how good it is. Yeah, there's one called Prescript Assist, which is a collection of soil-based probiotics. Spore-forming probiotics, which colonize. Okay, and they're native to your gut, a good degree of them. In fact, I think most of them. And they colonize. So if you really want to go and kind of poke around in there and get some colonization of the bacteria, adhering to the cell walls, building, multiplying, potentially fighting off pathogenic overgrowth, pathogenic species, then Prescript Assist is good. Singular chemicals, singular probiotics would be, what is it? Bifidolongum BB536. It's a studied strain. So it's a single strain probiotic of Bifidobacterium longum. And the nomenclature name tied to it is BB536. It's actually been studied for IBS with great success. But it tends to work in people that have like long-standing reflux where they can't really find the cause. There's no anatomical cause. And for other digestive issues like gastroparesis and things like this. Dave G. Love it, bro. Hope you're doing great, man. I don't know what you're doing these days. I remember you from back in the day, man. We used to chat on Twitter about, I think, marketing. I don't know what you're up to these days, man, but you look great. You're looking good, man. First dose of MK677 in my life. Not on anything else. Waiting for it to kick in before I go to breakfast. All right. Good luck, my bro. Hope that ends up working out well, bro. Combat Axel. Longest you've gone without taking any nootropics in the last year? Well, probably almost a year. So I got COVID in 2021. I didn't share this with the channel, but I ended up getting long COVID. Some people's immune systems just react to, spike protein in a really, really fucked up way. And, I had a series of really wacky symptoms that thankfully I'm versed in physiology, immunology, biohacking, whatever. And if there's something I don't know about, I can quickly learn about it. And I was able to get myself better, but there was a period where the symptoms were so wacky that I kind of wasn't taking nootropics all that much. And that was, I want to say late 2021, maybe. No. Early 2022. And then somewhat, later into that year too. So it may have been a month and a half where I wasn't dosing any nootropics. So I was really trying to get those weird symptoms under control. And then it was back to the racetams, my friend. Consulting marketing. Awesome. Coach Lab. Oh, I'll check it out, bro. Awesome. Good, man. Yeah, SaaS. Well, that's great. I hope there's money in that. I'm sure there is. I'm sure you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. All right. Tomas is saying best dopaminergic nootropic which doesn't increase norepinephrine. That is a good question because there aren't many. You'd probably be looking at 9-MeBC. I do not see. Look, your conversion, your building blocks to dopamine, which you get in your diet, which is L-dopa or tyrosine ultimately, is going to convert to L-dopa regardless, and then dopamine, but then you're going to convert some to norepinephrine either way, just naturally. That's how the other catecholamines get created, right? But if you took 9-MeBC by itself, you would be more targeting the pathway of just strictly dopamine production. Also, if you took just bromantane, the nootropic that sounds very much like bromance, then you would again there's some serotonergic activity with bromantane, but you'd largely be increasing dopamine synthesis without really fussing with the other catecholamines. So that would be my take on that. That's a good question though, because some people just can't handle that norepinephrine boost, right? Those other catecholamines, adrenaline, it just doesn't feel good. I'm one of those people past a certain point. Mucuna purines, incredible compound, way underrated. All the dangerous YouTube shock value shit is largely bullshit. People don't know what they're talking about. That stuff's magic. But past a certain threshold, I'm making more of the other catecholamines and I end up feeling a little racy and I don't like it. Roy Gordon, peptide for increasing testosterone, best one. I really wouldn't go with a peptide. I'd go with human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG. Yeah, I mean, you could try kisspeptin and gonadorelin. Those are two chemicals that somewhat act in a similar fashion at the hypothalamic pituitary level to make you pump out more, luteinizing hormone, but marginally effective at best. I mean, they're effective, but, I would just go with HCG for sure. Dextro, and that's probably not a good suggestion. I wouldn't do that. Never in a million years. I've taken Adderall and Adderall analogs before. Last time was maybe a year and some change ago, right? Every now and then, and by every now and then, I mean like once a year, I'll go back to it and be like, okay, I'd like to, for 2-3 days, experiment with it and then sleep a lot thereafter and then like get a whole lot of work done. And it always works for that. However, like I can mimic that with nootropics and other chemicals these days. And so it's like, and there's sides, I don't sleep well. I feel generally, agitated, if I'm taking any of the Adderall analogs. So I've maybe taken Adderall probably count them on my hands and feet, hands and my fingers and toes, right? So like less than 20 times in my life. Just one of those things. All right, guys, any other questions? If you got questions, post them. I will answer them. Hope you guys are doing great, having a good Saturday. Hope you're ready for the fall. I'm ready for the fall, but I'm not ready for the winter. All right, bros. I'm just not. In the meantime, you guys know the deal. Cortex stack live finally. Okay, so it's officially here, shipping. It's available now. You can actually get it either singularly or subscription if you want to get it cheaper. It's 60 capsules, guys, not 30, where the previous V1 just had 30 capsules for various reasons. We didn't want people taking it every day. It just wasn't meant for that. But this stack is meant to be taken daily. It is incredibly powerful. It's like the stimulation, so the energy and that kind of like pick me up. Like if you just threw down a 5-hour energy and put some nicotine on and maybe added another nootropic in there, it's like that. It turns on very, very quickly. You know, you take it in 5-10 minutes, you're like, huh, interesting. Oh, wow. Oh, 15 minutes, like, oh, wow. And then 20, 25, you're like, okay, now I feel what this is like. And then the focus element kind of kicks in. It's a staggered effect, you know, for most of the beta testers and myself. So it's very cool. It's like if you really want to get work done, focus, but also you could use it as a pick-me-up. That's what the new Cortex stack is for. High potency stack. 2 patented, which, you know, for all intents and purposes means clinically effective, meaning they've been, you know, tested clinically in a nootropic and a cognitive capacity, and that is methylliberine and teacrine. And we've got the actual patented versions of those chemicals in the Cortex stack. Dave G, did you modify the ingredients in the Torque stack? No. Torque is exactly the same as it has been. It's mucuna, alcar, citicoline, teacrine, theobromine. And no, and that stack's going to stay the same. It's like when you have something that works so well, you don't want to change it. So Torque is going to stay exactly that, right? Good dose, but not too much of mucuna. Perfect dose of alcar, you know, pretty high dose of teacrine because you need that, you know, as a kicker in a stack. Modest dose of theobromine synergizes really well, and a little bit of citicoline. So yeah, the Torque stack is going to stay exactly the same. This is another killer stack. It's just incredible. I mean, the Torque stack is, why is that cut off? That's weird. I think it's just, yeah, there we go. Wow. We'll go back to Cortex. Subpar username is saying, are you playing anything else besides Modern Warfare? I play Battlefield, but I don't know if you guys gamers, like, you know, like what you think of Battlefield. Like, it's just, I mean, first of all, it's so convoluted graphically that, you know, even if you have a very high performance PC, which I do, it's slow. It's like, you know, it lags. And I've got, you know, like super fast internet or whatever. So it's really not that. And, you know, so I don't really love that. And again, it's like, you know, they actually have sliding and you can, you know, move. You can't really bunny hop. But just the way it's set up, it's just, you either got to camp and snipe, or you can run around and get some kills, but it's like, you know, you got everybody everywhere. I think it's complete madness. You know, I don't think that Battlefield is a great game. I play it because I'm like, all right, I'll play some Battlefield. But honestly, as much as I hate Modern Warfare 2 and how slow movement is and how it's being, you know, taken over by, you know, old guys who suck at, you know, using their brain quickly. And so they can just hold angles with a TAC, you know, 56 or fucking whatever. I just dislike that a lot. Other games, not a whole lot. I'm looking forward to X Defiant, and if we can actually get that up and play. It's another shooter game, somewhat like COD, but not as good. And that's essentially it. You know, I don't think there's any other games that I really like. You know, those are the best games out there. Some people play Halo, and what else are people playing? That's like somewhat similar. It's a game that's somewhat similar to Halo. Well, obviously Fortnite. I can't get into those games. Methylliberine is a adenosine receptor modulator. So it's the same receptor sites that caffeine works on, but in a way different way. It basically makes it so that the signal of adenosine will still bind to the receptor, but it's much weaker. You know, it's like in a way that the tiredness effect from your innate adenosine, like, it's a neurotransmitter you make, which makes you tired, just doesn't have the same effect. It's like a weakened effect of the receptor. So as a result, you get wakefulness, energy, focus, little bit of dopamine release as a result. But, you know, the dynamine, you know, methylliberine is like the chemical name. The patented clinically effective version is called dynamine, which is what we have in this stack. And the dynamine is dosed pretty high. So it's like, you know, very, very noticeable. Very, very noticeable. Like that's part of, the methylliberine is 150 milligrams. So if you understand methylliberine, that's a pretty high dose. And what that makes this stack do is turn on very quickly. Yeah. I mean, like after administering it, you know, 10, 15 minutes later, you're like, wow. And then it keeps going like this. And then it reaches like its peak and it stays there for a while. That's what I tried to build. Not something that peaks and drops. It reaches the peak and then you stay focus and flow, good energy and stuff. So that's how, you know, you can really explain methylliberine. Dave G is on his last bottle of Torque. Brother, I feel for you, man. Because when when you're close to running out of the stuff, start getting worried, dude. Get some more. Joe Hogan's is saying, is it true that choline can sometimes cause significant vivid dreams or nightmares? I noticed this when I add a substantial dose of choline, like a gram, to my routine. Yeah, it is true. Yeah, acetylcholine is, you know, one of the neurotransmitters that modulates brain activity relevant to dreams when you're sleeping. So yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, like you can take cholinergics, like huperzine A, which is, you know, another choline modifying chemical, just going to keep a bunch of acetylcholine around and have vivid dreams. People do that for that purpose, to have lucid dreaming, where you're kind of in a dream, but you know the dream is a dream, so you're trying to control it at some level. So, yep, 100%. There's credence to that. You know, it's a very direct, you know, mechanism for turning on that, like, you know, the dream capacity, but also your ability to remember the dreams. I think that's a big part of it. You know, you remember the dreams and you're like, wow. So like, instead of it fading in 10 seconds when you're waking up, you remember it like throughout the day. Like, you know, some of my hardcore, like cholinergic dreams, I still remember them. Isn't that crazy? I still remember the dreams, dude. There are dreams that, you know, I can remember the full dreams still. And, you know, most of the time I was taking like, you know, one of the racetams or some choline or something. Joe is saying his stack is a gram of taurine, 800 magnesium, 500 phosphorylserine. Interesting. So imagine that's kind of a calming stack. That's what it looks like it would do. I don't think I've ever put them together in those doses before, but seems interesting, my bro. Choline's role in the new product or in nootropic stacks in general. Well, two questions. So in the new product, listen, if you're going to dose especially city choline, what I've learned in almost 2 decades, that's going on 20 years, guys, of dosing city choline and watching people dose city choline and having people report to me and being able to analyze all this information, is that with that chemical specifically, you can get away with taking it daily and it actually just improves baseline cognition. But you got to take it in small doses. You have to take it in small doses. So the role in, both the products, because they're both dosed very similarly, both Cortex and Torque, is a little more brain available acetylcholine, a little more heightened catecholamines, dopamine or adrenaline, right? And, you know, there's some dopamine receptor activation or dopamine receptor density increasing that takes place with acetylcholine. So it's like over time, taking the chemical, you can have a better response to like dopaminergic input, just dopaminergic stimulus and dopamine in general. Plus, you're getting a quick but, you know, small amount of usable blood-brain barrier crossing choline, which is very useful for cognition. It's like I had to include that and Alcar in both the stacks as kind of the cognitive promoting things, aside from the energy inducing things, which are the other chemicals in the stack, right? So that it's balanced. So it's not just about energy, because, you know, people riff on that. Oh, it's just like a caffeine kind of thing. You know, you want to have like some nootropics targeting brain function too. I think this was relative to Adderall. Yes, definitely not sustainable. Melatonin 2. So I believe that is pretty close mechanistically to PT141. I don't have experience with it individually, however. So I don't know. Melatonin 2. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys, I have had some people comment here on the channel. I don't know that I've ever dealt with a person that is actually taking it. That has had negatives, and I forget what they were. So that's not very helpful, but you know, that's essentially all I got on melatonin 2. I think there's a risk profile, if I remember correctly, that you want to be, you know, little careful regarding the risk profile, bros. PT141, however, safer, just a safe, peptide to take. Obviously not sustainable, but PT141 is going to induce pretty strong erections, pretty good libido, sexual desire in a way which is, not really comparable to anything. It's not like your normal state at all. It's kind of like hyperdrive. The first time I took PT141, I was at, I went to a hotel bar, 2 of them in downtown Pittsburgh, and I was like MILF hunting. That's fucking, what it does. I was literally like, okay, let's go. Which was like bizarre and not like me to just randomly do. Ghost Fusion, do you speak any languages other than English? Just out of curiosity, I'm currently learning Dutch. Wow. And dopaminergics make a marked difference in speed of acquisition. Yeah. People forget that dopamine, or people just don't know that dopamine is also very critical in learning, helps accelerate your ability to learn. Yes, I learned a little bit of Arabic when I was in Iraq. And, it's like, though we were going on, combat missions, like my platoon, and most of my company, most of my battalion was going on combat missions. There was a degree of what we did as scouts. I was a Cav Scout in the U.S. Army. It's like, look, if you're in somebody else's country, you have to have a little awareness and recognize you're in a completely different country with completely different people that have a completely different culture and think about things completely differently than you. So rather than going there like, well, I'm a fucking American, whatever, like, you guys should do what we do. It was interesting to me to learn their culture. We had people that we would go and get intelligence from, and they would give us their chai, and they would give us their, they would make these kebab things. They would feed us, fucking, what was it? Yeah, it was like lamb burgers or something. Like they had these animals on the street, like in Iraq, they have animals on the street that they're selling, and then they butcher them and kill them and give you the meat. It's like very, very primitive in Iraq. So I learned Arabic in Iraq, a degree of Arabic. Hi, how are you? What's your name? What are you doing? Just shooting the shit, what's up, that kind of stuff. But also military related terms. Turn off the lights in your car, get out of your car. We're going to search you, things like that. Do you have any weapons? All that kind of stuff. So I couldn't say that I speak it fluently, but all the terms that I, came to understand, I still know them. Shismek. Ismi Orion. All right. Joe Hogan's cool. Thanks for the coin answer. Makes sense. Awesome, brother. Have you ever tried tadalafil for its nootropic benefits? Actually, yes. I find its mechanism of action, particularly PD5 inhibition. Yeah. Yes. And there's papers on this, like the alleviation of like cerebral function post-stroke. So like actually reviving some of the brain and probably, I don't know, maybe building new neurons or reviving neurons that are potentially, close to dead, or axon dendrite, axons and dendrites that are like weakened or something by tadalafil via the extra cerebral blood flow. So yeah, it induces cerebral perfusion, essentially blood flow, enhanced blood flow in the brain. So yes, there are anecdotals on Reddit of guys having like very long standing fatigue syndromes that, nothing could touch, that tadalafil basically would cure for them as long as they were continuing to take it. There's probably something else causing it, but the tadalafil helped. Tadalafil is a tricky drug for me personally because it's very powerful for boners, obviously, but it messes with blood pressure, and, I was run kind of low on blood pressure anyway, even on high dose TRT and HCG. It's just my body. I used to be a runner and was in the military and whatever, maybe it's some genes, it's my diet, it's the water intake, it's everything. But so if I take too much of it, which I don't really need a whole lot of it, maybe 5 milligrams or so, 7 milligrams, 7.5 is about as high as I can go on tadalafil. Some people, run 20 milligrams as needed, like for sex. I couldn't fucking imagine taking that, dude. My heart rate would be 70, 80 because of the lower blood pressure and the compensation of the cardiac muscle to put up with that. My heart rate would be entirely too high. So, 5 to 7.5 milligrams, and if it's going to be a crazy weekend or something, then sure. But yes, definitely brain performance for it. Somebody ought to come out with a better erection quality enhancing chemical that, doesn't open up the lower esophageal sphincter and expose you to fucking, reflux. It's just, there's the side effects with tadalafil suck, for most people. Some guys get away with, not having many side effects. OG Aesthetics is asking, will I do a video on gut optimization for optimal neurotransmitter output? Sure, I'll think about it and I'll put it on the list and consider it. I've done some content on, mainly serotonin GABA with specifically bifidobacteria species, probiotics, and that they will allow you to make more serotonin and GABA in the intestinal tract and travel through the vagus nerve into the brain. So, but yeah, I'll consider it. Ghost Fusion, do you still take lion's mane every now and then? I haven't taken lion's mane in quite some time. Yeah, that's more than a year, I would say. Yeah. But it just, there's other chemicals that do it better for me, do what lion's mane does. Nootropic is one of them, right? So I kind of like to stick with tried and true. I love Nootropic a lot. And so, I kind of just take that. But yeah, I've taken grams of lion's mane in the past, never had any sexual sides or anything weird from it. It overstimulated me a couple times. I mean, it's potent stuff, it is. And, I believe there's some degree of 5-alpha reductase inhibition, which will, prevent some of your tests from converting to DHT. So I don't really love that. D-Tree, what's your current TRT dose? Did you notice any cognitive effects after you started on it? Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said before, sustenance in energy, like in times where I'd be fatigued, like last night I was hanging out with this chick and day prior, I made a music video and I had a really, really long day. It was up till about, 1, just like working. And then yesterday, I had a busy somewhat day, somewhat business related stuff. And then I went and walked and hung out with this girl and I was like a little fatigued last night. Right. Whereas but so if I wasn't taking TRT, I probably wouldn't have even been able to hang out with her. I'd been like a fucking zombie or something, so that's one thing. But many other benefits, as I've talked about before. Current dose, 182 milligrams a week. Split up into every other day injections, 1750 IU HCG a week, and that's split up into everyday injections of 250 IU. Yeah, that's the protocol at this point. AI if I need it, I go back and forth with it. I was on a pretty set it and forget it dose, but then, you can't do that with the estradiol. Eventually the estradiol is going to get too low. So I'd taken it down past where I was comfortable, started noticing, all right, this is low estrogen. I've got to dial that back. And so, it might be at this dose. Interestingly, my diet, my body fat, it has changed how I deal with AIs, or at least how much I require of them at these high, somewhat higher doses of TRT. Regular dose, actually, I'd call it. People think 200 is a high dose. It's really not. It depends on how you're injecting it, honestly. And yeah, maybe 0.125 every fourth day or something to that effect. I can go a week without taking AI and still feel fine, but I'll know the numbers are creeping up and whatever. It depends. That's the tricky thing about AIs, and testosterone. It's like, your conversion is not just very, very steady and going to convert the same way. And the same is true with the use of anastrozole or even, aromasin. It's like, you really got to factor in the half-life for your particular body, which is really hard to even determine. You got to be running labs. Day you take it, 3 days later, 7 days later, you got to see exactly when it's completely out and what it does to estradiol to really dial it in. I'd love to be able to never take an AI, but got to run it every now and then. But far less than I was at a certain point. It's just I've made some changes otherwise. Mainly the complete cessation of alcohol. It's just like I don't convert a lot of T to estrogen, anymore. OG Aesthetics is saying, I am now experimenting with spore-based probiotics to see if it can help neurotransmitter output. Yeah, it may. The spore forming or soil-based, I think you're thinking of two things, but either one, should help in a pretty significant way. Roberto was saying uridine, even at a low dose, which is 75, makes modafinil feel like a miles per hour with its market improvement. Yeah, absolutely. Versus modo alone, totally. But the sides, how you're getting sides from it. Interesting. Yeah, I've taken uridine with modafinil before, and yeah, they potentiate each other, no question, unquestionably. It's just, yeah, but it can be overstimulating for sure. The thing with uridine is you can mimic modafinil and its effects with uridine and citicoline, just uridine and citicoline. If you want to get, more advanced, and then you can go to the old V1 Cortex stack and do uridine, citicoline, artichoke extract, be like 150, 85, 90 milligrams respectively. And then maybe play with the doses based on how you feel. Then you've got basically a modafinil mimic, like a stack that mimics some of the most potent drugs out there. That's why uridine's so powerful. That's why the first Cortex stack was incredible. But, we eventually got to the point where first we couldn't get uridine for a while. Like my old product manufacturer couldn't get uridine, and then they went out of business. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is the time to go with the stimulant balancer, focus and flow stack. So that is why we've got the new Cortex stack, my friends. D-Tree, thanks. You and I are the same age, so planning to start mine shortly. Looking forward to seeing all of X. Awesome, bro. Good luck. Yeah, good luck. I mean, it's a dance. As I said, you may get, it's like you may start on a protocol that you respond really well to, and I hope you do, bro. Or you may have to figure it out. Like I have identified 3 different protocols that work, for me, and I feel great and feel good and build muscle. Obviously, the higher the dose, the more anabolic I am. One of them is 210 milligrams a week, and that's every other day injections. And, I operate pretty well. There's a point where I feel like I'm a little bit androgen overload, but I build, good muscle on it and feel energy-wise like a fucking god. Then there's 182 milligrams a week. That's a little scaled down, still anabolic, slightly less anabolic, but otherwise energetic. I need a little less, estrogen control when I'm running that. And then there's 168 milligrams a week, so slightly lower than that, where tad less energy, but like literally 0 side effects on TRT. So, I've got 3 different protocols that work for, goals that I've got targeted for that time. Roberto, considering cycling your stack with low-dose modafinil, which one, Cortex or Torque? Both will stack with modafinil. You got to be careful though, because, Moda is a very powerful chemical, and stimulants potentiate stimulants, right? And I've got some clinically effective, patented, very effective stimulants, and the synergy is put together so well that's like you can't not notice Cortex or Torque. And so if you're taking modafinil, just, tread carefully, tread lightly, take maybe 40, 50 milligrams modafinil with a serving of either Torque or Cortex and see how you fare from there. And then you can realize, all right, I can go up on either one of these and be fine. Ghost Fusion, you have any experience with combining glutamine with periodic fasting to heal leaky gut? Personally, no. But I have suggested it to people in the past based on available literature and kind of the webosphere, and I've never seen it do much. I've never, and I have a good enough sample size, I've never seen it do much. I think leaky gut, though intestinal permeability is what you're really talking about, is a real condition. It's difficult to properly diagnose that. You're going based off of symptoms specifically. I don't know if there's like lipopolysaccharide testing that can confirm that. But it's, I think a lot of what people may think is a leaky gut could be other things, that you might need to look at. So difficult to say. But I've not seen glutamine be particularly effective. I've seen it make people worse. That's what I've seen. Doesn't mean it will for you. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's obviously anecdotals. People say it helps them. So everybody's definitely going to be different. Oh, got it. I thought I meant miles per hour. Freestyle right now to prove it, not chat GPT. You should really listen and think, because the shit that I spit will make your whole crew visit a shrink. Yeah, I'm chilling, man, sipping a drink, getting fucking tipsy and jacked up, so I pissed in the sink. I can freestyle about anything, anywhere, anytime. Locke Strugnell, brother, your fucking name is dope. Modafinil makes my eyes hurt. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that drug's not for everyone, man. I mean, maybe that's a histaminergic response. It could be histamine, right? Modafinil has the ability to increase histamine. And so if you're not used to that, or if you're like histaminergically sensitive, then, you might get some weird side effects from it. It's not entirely side effect free. It's a wonder compound for focus and stuff, but it can definitely come with sides. Maybe you want to consider lowering the dose. I don't know what your dose is, but you may want to consider lowering it, possibly bringing in some other nootropics in the mix that are targeting, similar systems, dopamine specifically, or maybe a teocrine, dynamine, theobromine, either one of those at low doses with a lower dose of modafinil kind of make up for what you're losing in lowering the dose of modafinil, and you probably have less side effects or none. Ghost Fusion, it boosts the ability of Leydig cells to absorb cholesterol to convert to testosterone. What chemical are we talking about here? Sustanche, perhaps? Pat Wolfman, I've got 12.5 milligrams modafinil ready for 1.5. 12.5? Armodafinil or regular modafinil? That's a very low dose. Maybe effective. Who am I to say? Like 30 milligrams modafinil, it's a very low dose, is effective for me to an extent, for sure. 12.5, I'm not sure if I ever dosed that low. Yes, rest in peace to Leo. Yeah, I think he's a super smart guy. He's I wish I would have got to know him before he died, because him and I are a lot alike, right? Very into the scientific literature, want to understand mechanisms and stuff, and also try to be as as diligent and complex as possible, or as thorough as possible when explaining things to people. Like, have a thing in our brain, like, I want to make sure I'm explaining it correctly. So yeah, RIP, man. I don't know. The whole circumstance around it seems just fucking weird. Yeah, Leo passed away many months back. And nobody really understands. I don't think the cause of death was actually, elucidated. I mean, he passed out in his bathroom or something and was found there. Oh, I don't want to talk about it, man. Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, as I said, well, when I was between 15 and 19, just before I joined the Army, I lived in Allentown, Pennsylvania. You guys should Google it. It's one of the worst cities in the country for murders and all that. Everybody from the Bronx and Brooklyn moved to Allentown in like a 10-year period and took over the whole city. So it's basically New York City, like Bronx and Brooklyn and Allentown. And I lived there for many years. And all I did was smoke weed, smoke blunts, drink Old English, literally, and rap for years. Like 4 or 5 years I did that. And I never stopped like freestyling by myself. Like, I'm like, all right, let me make music videos. I'm kind of into that in my life. Yep. Yeah, I got to do more collabs. But yeah, if Leo was still around, I think we'd definitely be collabing by now. D-Tree is saying 50 to 60 milligrams modafinil, sweet spot for him. I like that, actually. 75 is my sweet spot, where it's like, all right, I can still crank out 8 hours of work and, feel great and not have side effects, but 50, 60, I've tried that too. And it's a little less effective for me, but I could see how it could be, great for people. People are going to respond to stuff differently. And that's wonderful. And if you can take a 200 milligram tablet of modafinil, split it in half and get 100 milligrams, and then take a pill cutter and kind of split that in fourths, and you got 25, split one of them in like a, another half, then you can get 60 or whatever. Find your dose, find your dose. Legend was 200 milligrams 2 days in a row. I assume we're talking about modafinil here. Yeah, I bet that would be Legend. The last time I dosed 200 whole milligrams of modafinil was many years back. Yeah, many years back. I didn't sleep. It was very, very powerful. I don't have an opinion on statins. No. Nope. Don't know a whole lot about, well, I understand what they do, but there's just, it's a side effect profile that I would need to, really look at all the scientific literature and then think about for many days in order for, me to have an adequate answer for you. Yeah. Controlling cardiac function, there's a lot of tools that we have available to do that, so, and obviously lifestyle modifications and stuff. If there's a case where you absolutely need them, I get that totally. Not saying that I have an issue with that, but if you can avoid them, that would be my my first approach. Russell Peacock, what is your experience with coriander? Supposedly it's better GABA modulator than lavender. But I didn't feel much from Nootropics Depot's coriander versus store-bought lavender tea. I don't have experience with either. I don't know. Coriander. So what exactly is it doing? That's the real question. Okay, respiratory membrane, blah, blah, blah. Oh, iodine incorporation and common loss of other cellular functions of efflux activity, respiratory activity, and membrane potential. Membrane damage, got it. Antimicrobial activity. It's not really talking about the GABAergic properties here. See if we can keyword GABA that. Potentiation of GABAergic neurons in the brain. Okay. These results suggest a sedative effect of coriander leaf is due to the hyperactivity of inhibitory neurons. Interesting. So yeah, Yeah, I'll look into that, but yeah, I've never taken it before. Basically, you're, hyper facilitating the inhibitory neurons, GABAergic neurons, and glycinergic neurons. Have you ever run into a client that actually suffered from low serotonin levels? The mainstream notion that depression is simply a serotonin imbalance, i.e. deficiency, seems to ignore empirical data. Yeah, no. In fact, no. So the answer is no, I have not, because it's usually a dopaminergic issue or a serotonin signaling issue, or issues with those two neurotransmitters that should not be modified by exogenous use of precursors of those neurotransmitters, but should be targeted by exogenous androgens, right? And subsequent, conversion to estradiol, which then go and in a tightly controlled manner modulate those neurotransmitters. That's actually what testosterone and estrogen ultimately, like some of the libido modifying effects, etc., as far as brain function go, and other effects like mood balancing effects, have to do with their modulation of neurotransmitters. I have also seen, I worked with various of these sexual dysfunction communities, mainly PSSD, where an SSRI mutes people's sexual function for, years after taking or after stopping the drug. And those guys, are still, in fact, but for a long time stuck on this notion that serotonin in their brain was somehow too high and that was an issue. And that's wrong. It's inaccurate, right? And so, but plenty of those people have, you can deplete serotonin. All you have to do is take a set of branched chain amino acids and you'll deplete serotonin. You just won't be synthesizing more of it, much more of it. And then you eventually have low serotonin, and that feels like shit. And it's not, it's not like depression. It's more like you actually feel physical negatives from that. So yeah, I don't think depression is a serotonin imbalance. I think that's very simplistic. I think depression is a combination of imbalanced dopamine signaling and improper dopamine signaling, maybe some glutaminergic, like glutamate issues. Definitely a lack, for a lot of guys, a lack of modulation or positive modulation of neurotransmitters via lack of hormones, a lack of adequate testosterone and, estrogen as well. But I also think, like, aside from the, the chemistry of depression, it's like there's a lot of people walking around in this country and other countries that do not like what they do in life, that do not like their life, right? And so that's depressing. I can tell you this, as somebody who functions really awesomely and feels good, if I'm not creative, expressing myself in some way, being productive, challenging myself, setting something up in my life that I'm nervous about, like having things that I'm nervous about, if I take away all those things, then I have crippling boredom. And it's hard to distinguish between that and depression. So how many people are just actually not doing what they like to do in life because they're afraid of what people are going to fucking think or something? They don't think they can do it. And that's very much contributing to the depression, because again, if I stop doing all the things that I like doing, I get debilitating boredom, and it's basically depression. So that's why I'm always busy. Thank you. It drives me crazy that doctors with degrees hand these things out like candy. Yeah, it's just, it's capitalism, right? I mean, it is that the pharmaceutical industry, has so much of a hold on, what doctors can do in these situations. Like, my super smart endocrinologist, he's like an MD, an endocrinologist, and smart in a lot of things. And I go bounce shit off of him and pick his brain and stuff. Like, even he'll say, but he recognizes the system. He'll go, this is all we have for that. This is all we have for this. This is all the medical establishment has for that. So they have limitations. And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. But some of them are like, yeah, here, take this antidepressant and whatever. They haven't read the literature, or they're selectively ignoring the literature that, like, SSRIs can mute your sexual function for many years, potentially the rest of your life, unless you have, unless you know how to resolve it. So yeah, pretty crappy situation. Russell Peacock, I've really come around to the predictive modeling theory of depression is low confidence in neural predictions. I.e. low confidence in neural predictions. Mania being pathologically high confidence in neural predictions. Interesting. Don't know a whole lot about that theory or even what you're saying here, what neural predictions that term is. So not sure. All right, Roberto, for men, where or would you say there is a strong relationship between high achievers and high levels of TRT? Of testosterone, definitely. I mean, there's no question about it. Yeah. I was a high achiever before getting on TRT, but my test was not low. Like, aside from a stint in my early 30s where it was low. That's what got me into testosterone and all that stuff, like just like modifying it naturally. And yeah, so even though when I had low test, I was a high achiever, but not to the extent of like when I have high test, it's just more energy allows you to execute more things. Like, you're going to get a lot more done just because your energy is better and higher, so for sure there's a direct relationship between, having adequate levels of testosterone. I mean, testosterone is your assertive, like, male hormone, man. It's like, it makes you be a man, but also do what men do, which is have a purpose in life and try to live their lives to achieve that purpose and execute on reaching goals related to that purpose. And so definitely, I think there's a lot of cognitive stuff though, too, like neurological functioning stuff that go into high achievement. That's why I'm always talking about nootropics, etc. I also think that achievement, can have some very powerful psychological underpinnings, like you had a really crappy childhood, or you were very poor growing up, or, you've got somewhat of a chip on your shoulder and you want to prove yourself to the world, which are all good things because they're drivers for you to go be productive. So I think all that, contributes to achievement, but testosterone, no question. D-Tree, I'm convinced most execs at companies are on TRT and Adderall. TRT almost definitely. Yeah, no question, man. I mean, most, older-ish, or at least above 30, like YouTubers that are in great shape, like are on something, like at the very least TRT. Almost all, if not all, the fitness guys that say they're natural are running orals. They're running anabolics at some level, or high-dose TRT. So no question about it, man. Elon doesn't really look like he's on TRT. However, his body is, he's not in great shape, but he's kind of a solid dude. Who knows? He might not be. He's just such a, anomaly. But, Jeff Bezos, great example. Absolutely on the sauce. I mean, and, probably like a higher dose TRT. Like, he went from absolute nerd to like, looking pretty jacked. So yeah, I think so. Adderall, yeah. I mean, still, they're not really privy to, the use of nootropics in a way which gets them good results. Ghost Fusion, I imagine your clients are incredibly smart, but do you suspect that people who are already smart get more out of using nootropics, or would you expect an average IQ person to benefit more? I think the already pretty optimal person will take advantage of the increased brain performance that they have consciously. So they'll end up being more productive. I think that, average IQ person may not even be aware that like they should be productive, or maybe they want to be productive, or that they might get a dopamine hit from being productive. And so they may end up being less productive as a result. I don't know of taking nootropics, but yeah, I mean, it's like the average IQ person, or a person who hasn't really pushed themselves to learn a whole lot, because I think that's all malleable. In fact, we learned that in the 1990s when a neuroscientist named Eric Kandel discovered neuroplasticity, that we can modify these things. I wasn't a particularly smart guy coming out of the military. I can guarantee you that. My parents are nothing special. My dad died a long time ago, nothing special. My mom, very simple woman. And here I am reading scientific journals all day. Like, it's just, I think you can modify those things for sure with chemicals and with, I guess with drive, with the inclination to do so. Yeah. My clients are smart people. They're most people that come to me for brain chemical modulation, TRT protocol optimization to an extent, but mostly like the guys that are into nootropics or wanting my help on that, and cognitive performance already know about some of the chemicals that we typically discuss. And so, yeah, inquisitive, biohacking centered, performance optimization oriented people, definitely. Ghost Fusion, Elon might be on growth hormone. Yeah, he does have a very weird stomach. It's like, why take all that stuff and not work out? I don't understand. I just think he might just be like a, he looks like a, like a 50-year-old gamer dude or something. Like, what I mean? He kind of looks like he just needs to lift weights. He gets a lot of actual cardio, I bet. I don't think the guy ever stops moving, but if Elon lifted weights, he'd look great. Yeah, people can definitely overdo it. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream. Cortex Stack is live, livecortex.com. Go get a bottle. The stuff is sick. You can now get it on subscription. It's 60 capsules per bottle, so not 30 anymore. Whole month supply, dude. Very, very powerful focus and flow nootropic stack. It's a stimulant balancer. Stimulant with a little bit of a balancer to kind of tone in the focus and flow part. But it's also 2 clinically effective patented stimulant ingredients that turn on brain function. The Cortex Stack is now officially live, and you can go buy a bottle and have it shipped ASAP right now, livecortex.com. More content to come this week. Obviously, my new channel, more music videos coming on that. It's just Ryan Michael Ballo. Go follow it. Yeah, I've got some good specific breakdowns of chemicals planned for this week, so look forward to that. It's going to be awesome. I appreciated your guys' questions a lot. And hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you guys next time.